So welcome to another round of the Juicy Conscious Conversation. It's April 1st. It is a beautiful day here in Northern California. And right now we're starting out with a trio of wonderful folks. And we're going to have a multitude of conversations, I'm sure, today. So hope that you can take the time to listen to our recording. And it looks like Aja just joined us.
Hi, Aja.
Hi, Aja.
Hello.
Let's see. So, Aja, I think you know Ren from Conscious Conversation Facebook page.
Hi, Ren.
She's here with us today.
Hi.
Great to see you.
Good seeing you too, finally.
No, I was liking your post this week and I was thinking, oh, wow. I want to connect with Ren. And the next thing I see is you're going to be on this call. So it was so.
Yeah. Well, Aja, you just spoke exactly what I was thinking. I really, you know, all of you, your posts all resonate with me. And I'm just like, well, it's great to actually connect and see these people and have conversations with them one-on-one. And so this is great. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Taliesin.
Thank you, Taliesin.
The group.
Thank you.
So nice to see you, Noelle. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you, Aja.
So,
I mean to see your face. It's nice.
Thank you.
So, a couple of topics that come up. We started talking about chemtrails because in Noelle and my world, they've been quite frequent here lately. Ren says they're not in her area. Aja, are you having chemtrails in your area?
We're having them again. We didn't have them for like a while. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah. Well, I was just saying to Noelle that they've been here quite frequent now for the last week. Not just east of me, but I can certainly see them. And my energetic sense has been kind of getting, I'm not freaked out, I'm not giving any energy, but it's just like, it's kind of like sounding the alarm of like, what are they doing? What are they up to? It's like my intuition is telling me they've got something on their nefarious agenda, and I don't know what that is. I don't want to give it any energy, but at the same time, I don't want to stick my head in the sand and ignore it, you know? So that's just what's going on with that. And then Noelle.
Taliesin, you said exactly what I'm feeling too. I don't give it, I'm doing so much better. And I think some of my alarm comes from the fact I used to be an activist. So therefore it's kind of almost almost a Pavlov's dog kind of thing. You know, you see it, then you feel what's the next thing. But I just bring it up because it's been unbelievable, and it leads me to the next thing. If I can just interject for a second, we don't even have to go here if everybody has something else they'd like to talk about. I'm very anxious to hear what everyone else wants to say. But when I was in Mendocino, I stopped into a little store where I developed a conversation with this lady, and she said, did you see what was flying over Oregon, California, Arizona back in December? I'm just not always looking up at the sky at night. So her son filmed this UFO thing that she had it on her phone. And it was very odd looking. It was almost iridescent, see-through, with almost like a little nucleus in the middle. And it was going at very vast speeds. This kid was following it for a short time because then it moved on. And I've been seeing other people posting things like that. And I was wondering, you know, I think it's going to be a Disney show myself, because it was almost holographic in its nature that it looked like.
Well, you know, I'm just remembering, you know, the Quantum Shift radio show with Drake Bailey and I know that the doctor, the woman at the end said, what is it with the chemtrails? You know, when are they going to stop? Something like this. It was the last one. And I know, I don't remember, he said, we're going to, but they're actually going to spray chemtrails with good stuff in them to dissolve this stuff, plus some other things they're going to do. So I wonder, I mean, that kind of is exciting to me. Could some of this be good stuff?
Well, that's a good shift. I like that. I like that.
That's a nice thought.
No, I mean,
like
Drake Bailey said that they're going to do that.
Well, it's a really good concept because I use it a lot with clients, and when people are mentally stuck in a roller coaster of thought that has got a negative content to it, to flip it to the opposite and start reversing the flow so that you can create something positive and for the benefit of all. So, I mean, what you just said is exactly that. So that's a great flip. I'll go with that. I like that.
Yeah.
And I was not seeing chemtrails for like over 2 weeks. It was really magnificent. And
yeah, it's magnificent when it's clear.
And I don't know why that was happening. And then suddenly today I saw them. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see them yesterday, so. And I don't live in a big city. I mean, I know I've heard Allison Coe say, oh, you know, we see them all the time. We can hardly see when she's talking very positively about the event. One of those things she's saying, we can hardly see the sky sometimes.
Well,
of course, she lives in Portland.
Portland, yeah, up northwest. That's right. Well,
I don't think it matters on population, because I was down in Monument Valley a couple of years ago, having a fantastic trip, which I did, but they were all over Monument Valley. There had to have been, in the radius of 50 miles, maybe 5,000 people.
Weird.
Right.
Anyway, I just wanted to bring it up, and I appreciate it, because just even being able to talk about it, you guys, is good for me, and then I can just release it, because you can't discuss it with most people. They have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, and I don't think I'm the crazy person living in I'm not going to adapt to that. So
right.
I mean, it's hard because it's kind of like, isn't it almost, when you start talking about chemtrails, I had talked to a good friend today who's very awoken in so many ways.
Yeah.
I don't even, she knows about this. And, I talked about Facebook. I wonder if it's going to close because it's somebody I knew through Facebook. She's like, oh no, nothing will happen. And, and probably nothing won't, because it's so big, somebody else will buy it or it'll transform. But it's like not having any of those concerns or knowings. God, it's almost kind of nice.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Well, it goes back to that little mechanism of flipping things. It's like take the negative thought that you have and flip it to a positive aspect, and it makes a big difference in your life. I think just a simple practice. And I'm not saying.
I mean, it really could be that. I mean, couldn't it? It could be that some of this stuff that we're seeing, they are actually starting to heal the sky.
Well,
because we're going to have to. It could be. It really could.
Well, before you popped on, we were talking a little bit. I guess it was Ren that we were talking about how our Mother Earth has the ability and intention of cleaning herself, all of the things that man has done, the ability to clean herself and to regenerate just like we do. And so that's just another extension of it, what you just said.
She sure has a big job, and I love this earth. I mean, I think I've been here for a very long time, and it looks like I'll be back.
Yeah.
But the fact is, I love this planet, and it hurts me when I see it being, that's a lot. I love this planet. Like,
do you think I was listening because it's fresh in my mind, the Quantum Shift show. And sometimes I think, oh, I don't resonate with that. I don't listen to them, but sometimes I really like them.
Yeah.
So they said that people who were from Atlantis, that they are stewards of the earth and that they are coming back. And when I heard that, because I mean, I'm like you, I so love the earth. Like when people will say, oh, I want to go to another planet, and I'm like, well, whatever. I really love the earth. I like you said.
Yeah.
So when he said you're gonna come back, like I wonder if, yeah, I'm just putting that out there. Maybe you're from Atlantis.
Oh, I don't know.
Who knows?
I'm not saying I wouldn't want to cruise the cosmos in my little, Merkaba, but, I'd also, this planet's very important. And I think this planet is important, to the cosmos. What's happening here now and lifting this up is what everyone, I think, has been waiting for. I mean,
yeah. Well, I think it's really important to realize, and we've all heard this, I believe, of how this change, awakening is universal. It's not just happening here on Earth. It's happening in the universe, other planets, other star systems. So it only makes sense, because how could it? It's just like the very small thinking of, oh, we're the only planet that has any life on it. I mean, come on. I've never believed that. When I was told that the very first time, never believed that. Just to open the topic up a little more, I know, Noelle had voiced she wanted to talk about some of the things that are being seen now in the sky and the questioning, what is it? Why is it there? So on and so forth. I just want to say that my own personal experience in this lifetime, I'm really so happy and excited to be in the place we are, because people are, it's finally getting to a place, and this is a change within me.
Ren left.
No, she's there.
Oh, now you're there.
She's flashing
she's
in
really
and out.
busting.
You all froze.
Yeah, sometimes that
Suddenly
happens.
you were gone. It was like, oh no, Ren left.
I think our energy conversation.
No, you were. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go on.
That's okay. No, I just wanted to say,
Allison.
I realize this changes within me and how I'm observing and diagnosing what's happening and questioning what's happening. But I'm grateful that people are finally acknowledging the things that I've been seeing for a long, long time. It's like, for so long, I mean, it started back when I still lived in Michigan and was in high school. We would go to the shoreline on Lake Michigan and watch the stars, the sunset, and so on and so forth. And we would see all kinds of things that we believed were spaceships. Multiple times we saw fighter jets come scrambled and actually come at the lights, and as they got approached to it, the lights would just go poof. And we knew that there was something there other than, United States aircraft. We knew that.
Awesome.
But it was at a place where, I mean, I could only share or talk about this with my close little friends, and because I've been told since I was young you don't talk about that. People are you're not normal. You can't, you don't have an invisible friend. You can't talk about this stuff that's not mainstream normal. And so now, I mean, it's just been going on for the last 10 years, but I just really don't care what people think anymore. And I've stopped that people pleasing habit that I had. So I just speak my truth, and it's wonderful now that more and more people can have this conversation. Of course there's other beings out there in spacecraft. Of course, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. But what we're seeing, these lights and different colors and auras, and like the northern lights, and just amazing multitudes of greens and purples and reds, and the sunsets where they're seeing, I have not seen one of these multiple sunsets, but I've seen pictures of them, and I don't know, I've got a sense of feeling that there's more going on there too, where there's actually two suns setting. It's like, okay.
I've seen that very clearly. And I can't understand it not causing more interest.
Well, you know, I really believe in this. If a person's imagination has been stagnated by the suppression from the world as it's been, you're only going to see what is in your imagination. If you can't imagine it, you're not going to see it. If it pulls up in your driveway, you're not going to see it. It's just not in your perspective. I mean, that's what I believe.
And I've heard it put similar to that, but I've heard it said that you cannot perceive what you are not the vibration of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's yeah. And the higher that we are able to raise our vibration, our frequency, we're out of that heavy 3D density and moving that way. So yeah, that's the way I see it too. That's why I know I still have so much, work to do, which I'm happy to do when I realize, I don't want to spend my time in 3D, so I don't spend my time, when I see it and I know when I drop down, I can bring myself up.
Yeah, because actually part of what, and I'm not sure what they said and what they meant, and they just said it doesn't mean it's going to happen. But that was part of the people who love the earth. Oh, they're from Atlantis, whatever. And that they're going to come back and help all these 3D people for like 1,000 years or something. And when he said that, I was like, I can't even tell you what I said. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm done.
I don't think it's 1,000 years. I don't think it's 1,000 years.
I was so upset. I mean, I don't know. I'm very emotional right now this week.
Oh.
It must be the moon, but I was really upset hearing that I would have to continue.
I know.
I mean, nobody's listening to me. Everybody thinks I'm crazy anyway. You think I want to continue this? Anyway.
We don't think you're crazy, Aja. You're
no.
Yeah,
you
fit
already
in this there. So,
perfect.
No, but we're gonna continue to help all these people or something. I mean, no.
Well, I'm not into that people pleasing thing anymore. I'm more than willing to come over and help people that have fallen, that have stumbled, and they need a hand to get back on their feet. I'm more than happy to help people, but I am not going to subvert their own positive creation. I don't want to create codependence. I want them to wake up their own creativity and stand up and get away from this mindset of lack and not having the ability or the worthiness to create for themselves, because that's what's happening right now. It's like people are starting to realize that they're a creator being, that if they just stand in their power and realize that they have all of these senses that have been dormant that are coming online, and if they can't imagine it, they're not going to be able to find the switch to flip it on. You have to imagine it. That's how I see it.
I've also heard that the children will be the ones to lead us into tomorrow. So what you say, Aja, makes me think maybe this is not us per se, but maybe the children that are being born are going to be of 1,000 or whatever.
Maybe.
Well, there's some pretty special kids that I've met on the planet. So
yeah. The babies I'm looking at that I see with their moms or at the store or whatever, I think I've mentioned this before, I look at them and boy, they're awake. Mm-hmm. And the other day, it was funny, I went to the Y to do my exercises, and apparently they were having a YMCA camp with about 40 kids that were at the same time in the water, which doesn't usually happen. But I just did my exercises in the corner and kind of observed these young kids. And I was just sending them really good energy and light. And there's some very special kids. Very special. they're not going to do the same rules that they won't be doing that. I think things are going to deconstruct. So even within the next 10, 15 years, they're not going to have the same rules that they need to. And if they do see them, they're going to say, well, that doesn't apply to me. Where we all, I don't know how old you are, Ren, but, we're kind of like brought up in that, well, you do this and you do that, and then you go get a job. And, we followed the steps, and our parents did, so forth. But these young kids, I don't think they're even going to have that construct to do that. It wouldn't even enter their minds to do that. Now, I think what we're having right now is, like with these marches and everything, I saw someone on whether it was Conscious Conversation or someplace that I was looking, and someone who appeared to be very awake said she was happy to see these young kids marching. And I see this, they're trying to attach this, I don't see it that way at all, as organic. When you bring in Paul McCartney and all these other people, and you're funded and all this is not a true demonstration. But I think this is the final. They know they can only get the kids just a little bit more, and the time is up then for these younger kids coming up aren't going to be able to be swayed this way against guns or against anything, really. And I think that those who are manipulating are aware that this is their last little chance to get the kids riled and together, because it's not an organic, these marches aren't organic in my view. It doesn't resonate with me that it is. So I think these young kids are the ones.
Noelle, I agree with your opinion. And what I found, I've had this thought since the beginning about the march and how the children were being manipulated and coerced. And I found that very sad. But at the same time, I found a post and some information about the March for Lives that just happened, the permits for that, because you have to have permits in place in order to have these groups gather. And the permit for this was done months ago, and there was
Is
pictures
that
of it.
right?
So this was all planned. I mean, come on, the march happened. It happened 3 weeks after the event in Florida. And I was just like going, oh my God, here's the smoking gun right here. And I read it. It seemed absolute legit to me. I posted it on my timeline because I just went, wow, how can anybody deny this? But of course, I had some people that attacked me because of it, telling me it was fake.
You don't have to look too far.
But anyway.
3 months ago, the permit was made?
It was months ago, yeah, in Washington.
How can they do that? They're so brazen.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're not even covering the tracks that much. You don't have to dig too far to see how manipulated this whole thing is.
Well,
nothing's real. It's so it's so weird.
To take Noelle's what she said about the children that are really awakened and seeing way more than a lot of people already at this stage of their life, really awakened, genuine star seeds, you might call them. I don't see them. I mean, I see the world changing right now drastically as far as like in our generation, like Noelle said. I mean, I bought into the American Dream lock, stock, and barrel and played all the games up to a point when I was about 38 when it finally hit me upside the head of like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And that's when it all started to fall in for me. But I don't see the kids today, like becoming part of a company and like doing 20 or 30 years in some profession for a company. I don't see that anymore. I see the what's happening is that because the financial side is changing into a place where all of us are eventually, I think soon, are going to have access to value, our own value, and we're going to be able to shift what we do. And I think a lot of people are going to shift to healing Earth and creating new things that are going to benefit life as opposed to what it has been, a degradation of life. So that's what I'm seeing happening. And all of these free energy devices, being able to print, 5D printing. I mean, all of these
Yes.
things are going to have a place so that we can. I mean, I see the number one problem is first housing and feeding all of the homeless people on this planet. And I don't care what country they're in or what language they speak or what color their skin is, or, I mean, come on. We need to all wake up and take responsibility with that. So that's what I'm seeing is where we're going.
Yeah, I'm always holding that dream, Taliesin.
Well, I feel like it's, I mean, do you really think it's a dream? I feel like that's what's coming very, like it's a baby and it's, you know, it's kind of its head is in the, what is it? When the head is down and ready to come out?
Yeah, birthing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think what Noelle
Crowning. The head is crowning.
crowning, yeah.
Crowning.
I think what Noelle meant was that you know, it's you have to dream it is like imagining, you know. I think that's where it all happens. First you have the intuition and you imagine it, and you create it, you know. So I think that's the stage that what she meant. But
Yeah. That's exactly what I meant. Yeah, that's what I'm holding. I mean, I'm really, because I think you're right, Taliesin, these as we've said, I have this real strong thing that resonates with me, that all these technologies and more, cleaning the water, the air, making, cancer go away in a year, because we've got the technology to do that. I mean, didn't they say they cured that back in 33? But yet no one ever, I mean, this is what we've been holding on to, is this very negative matrix that is not going to hold, it cannot hold the energy that's moving up, and it's just going to fall away. So as we all lift, it's all going to fall. And we can't, I have to be patient, because this wasn't formed in a day. This has been kind of eons coming, and especially in the last maybe 60 years, they've just, they put it to it. And so now we're unraveling all that. It's going to disintegrate. It cannot hold the light.
That's beautifully articulated, Noelle.
Oh,
yeah,
thank
I love
you,
that.
Asha.
Yeah, I would in a toenail onto that. I would say, if it's not for the benefit of all, it won't manifest. That's
it won't manifest.
Yeah, it won't manifest. And
Right.
those days
I'm so excited.
Those days are
Yeah,
over.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Well,
those days are over, Taliesin.
I'm really excited too, because there have been times in this life of my own, seeing and knowing what I was seeing at that time, of getting really depressed about the situation that I found myself in, thinking, is this ever going to shift? Is this ever going to shift? When I first started going through my awakening, or whatever you want to call it, in my early 40s, and this teacher that I worked with, who's still available, Alea Dow, she's out there, and we started talking about these kinds of things, and I felt how overwhelmed I was and how depressed I was over it. And I said, how long is it going to take? I mean, come on, we know what we have to do. Why won't people wake up, And she says, well, you're going to have to be patient. We're looking at least another 20 years before this really starts. And here we are 20 years later, and it's like really starting to happen. So, and she really encouraged me. She says, you've got to be patient. Look how many years it's taken to get to this mess. You've got to be patient. And, it's like I find myself all the time in life situations where, standing in line for this or standing in line for that, or wherever, and people are getting impatient and starting to complain. And I just look at them and I send them that energy of like, wow, patience is a gift. Patience is a gift. If you can just calm yourself, gather yourself, calm yourself, ground, and everything shifts. So all of us have that ability to send that energy to the group, the field around us, and it affects everybody.
Yes, that's why,
I love that. And
very
I think
important.
when you feel like it'll never happen, I think there's the self-doubt when you're impatient also. Because when we're really, at least when I'm really connected to the vision, and I'm the knowing and feeling the baby, you know, coming out and feeling the upliftment, my focus is on that rather than, you know, why isn't it happening right now? It's, yeah.
And there's a lot going on behind the scenes, as we all know, that you're not going to see on the CNNs and the Fox News and all that, and in your local newspaper. You know, there's so much important stuff shifting out there and going on, and some of this ugly is going to have to come up to be seen and released. That's what I think we're going through now. We're going through this kind of like everyone is, there's so many now that are lifting up, and yet there's a lot of ugly that's going to have to come up to be released. And I think there's a lot of, where there used to be kind of like black and white, now I think there's a lot of gray and different colors in there that are happening.
Do you think it's going to happen soon? Like, so often, if you listen to alternative news, you listen to, I don't know, whatever. I think we listen to many of the same people. It'll be like, well, this week there's going to be a large whatever. Or Q will say, well, this week, boom, boom, or like whatever, you know, or this week or this. But it's like, you know, I'm still in contact with these people who, you know, nothing shocked them. Everything is still as it was. Do you think it's going to happen soon? What do you think's up with that?
Well, you know, I think it's really on an individual basis. We all know somebody or multiple people that are like, what are you talking about? Nothing's changed. Everything's just as it was. Well, it's because of the individual's ability to see the change. Again, if you can't imagine it, if your intuition isn't working for you, if you're not listening to all the things that are being gathered by your body's senses, you're not going to see it. You're not going to see it. And so the one thing that helped me, going back again, you know, in my early stages of awakening, when I felt this frustration and impatience of like, is it ever going to happen? The one thing that I learned that was shared with me was like, that's a false control mechanism. You're wanting to control what's out here. In reality, you have no control over what's out there. So shift your focus to within, because this is where you can affect change. And then you do your own work, do your own inner cleansing, your own growth, your own maturing. And that mirrors out, models out to your exterior. And that's how you send the message. And that calms you, it grounds you. You feel more empowered, you feel self-confidence, you feel, you know, more worthy to receive the abundance that's in the world. And so it was like, for me, it was a magical key that this teacher handed to me. It was like, oh, I get it. And it's been a tremendous, you know, traveling that road. So, and this is where I think people are challenged. Go ahead, please, Ren.
I was going to throw in, but Aja, I saw your post go out about Facebook, and then it was taken away. You know what I'm referring to?
Oh yeah, I took it away.
Okay, that got me to thinking it should go away, because I'm beginning to feel that as a whole, we're starting to once again look outside of ourselves to Q and to all these other instruments to figure out what's going on. If Facebook, if the internet, if we lost our connection that way, we would be forced to go within.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying that, 2 calls or maybe 3 calls ago, I was saying to everyone, you know, we need to make sure we have each other's email addresses, because Facebook could just go, you know.
I did see where there's another platform that people are going to. It's I forget the name of it. I'll find out the name of it. Maybe on the next call I can share it. But yeah, Facebook is kind of, I mean, I get a lot of information on it, and yet it's also, you know, I don't have an iPhone, so the only time I'm even on Facebook or emails or anything is right here in my house.
Mhm.
And when I go away for a couple days, I just have my cell phone with me. That's one of those old kinds that they'll probably ban at some point. And you know, I'm not connected at all, and it's fine. But I do find that it's kind of a necessary thing in a way. That's how I found you. That's how I found everyone here. And there's also, you know, you can use it for whatever. And I always delete the ads, like it's not relevant to me. It's not relevant to me. But I think Facebook's part of the change somehow. I don't know. It's not good or bad. I don't know.
Part of the, you mean it's inspiring change?
Can be or not.
Well, the whole internet, I mean, it might have been created by whatever, but I mean, like Heather said, this beautiful internet. I mean, how would we have connected without it at this point in our...
Yeah, and last week, wasn't it, Taliesin, we had someone from France. Now, I know she didn't stay long, but I mean, we could get people from all over, and this is very, very important. I can't go down the street right now and have this conversation with anybody. Maybe you can, Ren. Can you do it in your neighborhood?
I can just do it right here at home. Outside.
I wonder where Sarah is, because Sarah's the same way. You know, Sarah says that.
Well, you know, I would agree with both sides of this conversation. Absolutely. Again, you know, I really see it as a personal choice in the moment, in the now moment of wherever you're at and however you're feeling and what are your needs at that time. I have multiple days where I don't go out and go see anybody or go anywhere. I stay here on the land. I commune with nature. I grow things and take care of building projects. And that is just so self-healing for me and beneficial. And I get everything I need out of that, from the sunshine and the weather. But then there are days when I really need to go out and connect with people, see clients. And that serves me at that time too. But I think the social media thing has coming to a point where it's served its purpose.
Yeah.
And it's really about all of our online intertech, to use Heather's terminology. The intertech is coming back online, and it's nothing new. We've always had it. We've just forgotten. It's been hidden. It's been suppressed. And the technology that is out there is pointed right at that to keep us dumbed down, keep us unaware, keep us sleeping, as they say. And so I listen daily to what is my body, what am I picking up? And it's I call it a mechanism of discernment, of being able to filter out what is mine and what is not mine. And I find that one of the most important practices I have, because I'm constantly picking up information that is not pertinent to me. And when I say that, I mean mass consciousness. You know, there's this dark gray cloud of mass consciousness with all this, and I don't want anything to do with it. You know, I want the high vibration, the light, the love, and that's what I want to come into my life. That's the vibration I'm putting out to attract the same. So, you know, there are multiple social media sites out there. I think MeWe, Gab, Steemit, and I've kind of looked at all of them so far, and I'm not getting a yes on any of them. I did set up an account on Gab, but I've spent very little time there. And I'm kind of feeling like maybe this is, if Facebook dies out, that maybe this is just it, you know, for me. I don't know.
Well, I do this because as an artist, I started a group, Awaken the Creation Goddess Within. You're all welcome to go and look at it. But I mean, I've created, so I'm doing it for, I guess, my business.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, getting my mission is to spread this goddess art and stories and stuff. So it would have that impact. So I'm more asking for that. Yeah, I was more not concerned, and we don't have to, talk about it much, but that was really where I was thinking, should I start gathering emails of people I connect with, or is there one that has more integrity? Like a kind of, I don't know, like a fresh social media platform where there is cleaner and, there's integrity. So
Right.
I don't know what's going to happen. Really, what's going to happen? I don't know. If we go into 5D, and that seems like what we're preparing for, right? To go into 5D.
Well, and it's an inside job, as Taliesin says. We're not all preparing to go into 5D.
I think a lot of us are already there.
Yeah, it's not like it's just somewhere you go. It's, as Taliesin says, this is all inner work.
That's why it's very, Ren, everybody, are you finding it? I feel like I'm already in 5D in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very challenging. Like, I am outside of time. Like, this time thing, I really did have a bit of what time was about once. But I just, I don't get it. I don't feel it.
That.
It's like, when are we going to meet? You decide, because I don't get this time. I can't. Please decide what time you want to meet, because I don't. So time is a big part of this, right? So if I'm not feeling like I'm in time, then, I'm totally can, dip down into all sorts of other things, which I guess are 3D, but
we do.
I must partly be in 5D. So it's, I'm not.
But are you conscious in 5D? See, it's when you say people are coming in, but you have to be conscious in 5D instead of, I think so many people, and I'm very compassionate about it because I know myself, and it's like, you have to be conscious about it. And there are so many people who don't know they don't know. And they know something's going on, but they're not conscious about it. They're holding on to a habit, the 3D habit, which, from my understanding, 3D is kind of gone. It's kind of like
kind of gone.
It's gone, and all we're doing is living in the habit of it.
Well,
really,
yeah. I really think that's.
You think so too, Ren, and everybody?
I think it dovetails into what we've been talking about. If you're giving it energy and you're supporting it, it's going to be in the life. If you're not, it's not. I totally feel that I'm in 5D most of the time.
Yeah.
And when I go out, so to speak, off the property and into wherever I'm going to do whatever, I have to consciously go, okay, I'm holding this high vibration now. I'm taking it with me. And I'm not going to let any interference bring me down. And that does a couple things. It creates, I don't want to call it, it creates a field, a resonant field. And so people of like vibration will be attracted to it. People that are not in the resonant field will be repelled. And that's just how it works. And I like that. Once you play with that and you get comfortable with it, you understand why you see somebody and they get close and suddenly they're like gone.
Yeah.
That used to happen. I would kind of go, what was that about? And I realized, my energy repelled them.
Yes. Yeah.
So
you're going to go around, I think, and people aren't even going to see you, because they're not going to resonate. That's what's happening, I think, now is all these, if we could see it, it's almost like multi-layers, that people are energizing in. But it's my understanding 3D was closed. There's no more 3D. And all it is a habit. It's a very strong habit.
Yeah, it's an addiction.
It's an addiction.
Yeah.
And as people know, as we all can raise and give other people, it's like sitting on a park bench and resonating. And at some point people will put their guns down and say, what is this thing? Why did I ever want to kill anybody? So it's just a resonance. Like Shaumbra, with the bench sitting.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
It's really interesting as an example of what I was just sharing, Friday this past week, it was nice enough weather. I went to the farmer's market, and it's right near the library here in the town. It's an open setting. There's a walnut tree grove, and the walnut trees don't have any leaves yet. It's too early, but it was still a very nice day. And I was set up what I do is I go and I offer chair massage for people. It's like, in order for me to get my foot in the door with people and talk to them, and I get people to come over and talk. And it was kind of a slow day. The market wasn't very busy. And so I was sitting there very calm, and I had brought a book to read, and I was kind of thumbing through the book, and I read a couple pages, and I just thought, no, I'm going to put the book down. And there's always children, and the children were playing, and you know how it is. They put the older sibling in charge of looking after the little one, so the mother can go and visit. And it's a very trusting, open. It's not like a typical city. It's a very country setting. So it's a community that looks out for all the kids. It's like, what's going on? So the mothers can have a little space, or the fathers. Anyway, I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden, one little boy comes over, and I knew his name, and that was really about it. And he wanted to sit down. I offered him the chair, and he sat down, and he just was sitting there, and he was kind of looking around, and he saw the massage chair, and he was like, oh, yeah, you can sit in that. And he climbed up there, and of course it was way bigger than, because his little body, but he sat in there, he got comfortable, and next thing I knew, he was sleeping. He just took a nap, he was dozing in this little chair. And then three little girls came over, and they kind of got together, and they were looking at, one of them was his little brother, and she's like, he's sleeping. And I said, leave him alone, it's okay, And anyway, they started talking, and then the mothers, I noticed the mothers, all of a sudden they're like, oh no, they're starting to panic a little bit. And I just went, they're over here, and they're like, oh, and they kind of watched from a distance for a while, and I realized that they were all attracted to the energy. They were feeling the love. They were feeling the love.
How beautiful.
Yeah, and that's just, it was really warm and cozy, and it's because the children don't look at anything else. They gather the data, and they're attracted to what feels good, what they're attracted to, just like a bee to the pollen,
Yes.
So that's an example that happened for me on Friday, and I think it happens all the time, really.
I love it.
Yeah. So I think all of us are capable of if we just get quiet. This was a very big lesson for me in my life, in order to, again, it was a result of moving from my mind to my heart, but being able to listen. I see the heart as having ears on the heart, and vision out of the heart, and the ability to speak like a face. It has all of these abilities, and so when you speak from your heart, hear from your heart, and see from your heart, you see a different objectivity. And that's what it's been such a rich gift to observe that way, that I think everybody, when they listen with the heart's ears to what the body is telling you, it's like, something hurts, a knee hurts, or an ankle hurts, or a wrist hurts, or whatever it is. It's information. It's like
information.
It's information. Your body has gathered something, and it's like a little beeper going. You have to kind of go, okay, what's going on over here? And there's information that's coming to you if you just listen, be quiet. And that's where it's really important to get out of the mind, because the mind is always running like a little mouse in the wheel for most people.
I can segue on that too, Taliesin. Is the other day I was going to get cranial sacral work.
Wonderful.
Does everyone know what that is? It's,
I go to one.
Oh, okay. So there I was, and I'm driving to my cranial sacral person. And as I do that, right somewhere on my left side in an odd area, it just had a very strong pain, right? And it was so sharp that I remember driving thinking, oh, I hope this doesn't last very long, because it was sharp. And it was only about maybe 6-7 seconds, but very, very sharp. Okay, well, I'm driving and I get to my craniosacral, who's this beautiful lady. And I laid down and she did her checking and all that. She went right to this spot where the pain was. And I said, wait a second. I said, this is interesting because I just had a sharp pain there. She worked on this area and my neck got released. So it was like, she asked me questions. You know how they do, like, what is it? What does it look like? And I just shared with her, of course, what it was, what I thought it was. But it was so interesting because, and I've got another appointment, which is going to be 90 minutes, which I think I can get a little more work done with that. But she's this beautiful person. And I just thought it was interesting that I got this sharp pain that I just said, well, that's just nothing. And here it was the key to whatever it was. You know, when I was little, I think I might have shared this before, but when I was little, I was kind of like Taliesin, you know, no one was believing what I was saying or seeing or feeling. And it was lonely. And I remember saying to my dad, Dad, I got this pain and it's long. And he would say, you got a long pain? I go, yeah, and it's like orange. And then they'd laugh. And then I'd say, well, now I have a pain like weeks later, and it's triangle, and it's over here, but it's yellow. And they would always make fun, like I'm a hypochondriac when I was 7 or something. And I was just trying to explain what was going on with me. And I saw it in geometric figures and color. But they thought, well, that you're just weird. And they thought I was funny.
Advanced. You were advanced. That's fabulous.
Well, then it gets shot down, like, you know, as we all got shot down. Then you have to go again and open up the doors. But I just have to laugh because I'm kind of coming back into that, working with this beautiful therapist.
Well, that's great, Noelle. I'm a biodynamic craniosacral therapist, and I practice it a lot with clients. It's extremely powerful.
I did not know that.
Yeah, everything that, well, I don't brag about it. You know, it's like
you tell us what you do, Taliesin.
Well, craniosacral is a journey within. My experience with it is it's very shamanistic. It has a very powerful flair to it, but it only works for people that are ready to listen.
Yes.
And like my sister, I think I shared with Aja a little bit about my sister. Yeah. So anyway, she went through a journey in her life where she had a lot of emotional things that she had not worked with. She just stuffed them in her life, and it showed up in her physical body. And anyway, when she was finally ready to start dealing with her stuff, she lived in Michigan and I was in Southern California at the time. And I found through the network, I found a craniosacral therapist in her area that she could go to. And I got some good reports about her. And I said, well, why don't you go try this person? And at the time, I was doing some energetic work with her that helped, but she needed a hands-on person. And anyway, the craniosacral was very powerful for her and helped her unwind stuff that she had from her childhood that she needed to unwind. So It's extremely powerful. I've had so many experiences, not only from receiving craniosacral. I studied with Charles Ridley in North San Francisco, North Bay area for a year. He has a year-long class. It's not steadily for a year, but it lasts for a year from start from finish. And during that time, when we would get together for 3 days at a time, everybody would change. You would receive, you would give, you would receive, you would give.
Yeah.
I mean, the things that unwound for me during that period was just unbelievable, the stuff that needed to be released.
Yeah.
I've had past life regression information come through craniosacral. I've had
Boy.
total little visions, like little trailer movies that would just pop up and play, and it was my past life, and it was like,
Whoa.
wow. Visions of people, places that I had been, and suddenly I was back there, and it would play out like a movie. Just a number of things that have happened. I've had clients that have experienced rebirth, complete, like they were being birthed again, and the trauma being released. So it's very powerful, very powerful.
Very powerful. And you're absolutely right, Taliesin. You have to be ready, because I'd gone to her 2 years ago one time, and it was so powerful. I had fear around going again. So I waited. And last year when I went, one time, and she's here in SAC, when I went, I released a lot of, I was doing ancestral release.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my great-grandmother say, I could see it, just like I could feel it. I could hear her say, wake up, everybody. Noelle wants to do this work. She wants to do it now. Get up. We're doing it. I bypassed my mother, who I'm sure was going, I don't know if I can do this. And my grandmother, who probably was not on board either, but my great-grandmother got up and said, we're doing it. Noelle wants to do it right now. And I had such release, but you know what, Taliesin? I couldn't go again for another year. That was that powerful. I had to get, so now I must be in a better place, because I'm making several appointments with her.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm ready. And she knows it. It's like, I'm ready to unwind. And I'm not afraid now to unwind.
The waves, the event, I mean, everything. I know that we are the event, and we're already feeling the waves, but I know that, and I think I still feel it. Like, to me, the earth is saying, get ready, like, get everything in a line.
Yes.
And it feels like that's what you're doing.
That's what I'm doing. It's like, I'm not afraid anymore. And if I have to clear ancestry again, all right, but my great-grandmother and I never met her, of course, but I have a real affinity with this woman, and she's got the energetics. She died in 1932, but she's got the energetics that are needed right now for everyone else to come on board too. It was beautiful.
So Noelle, I have just thinking about it, I get a little emotional. So just like, I'm going to share this with you folks. So this is a tidbit. This is just what I got as you were sharing your story here. So you're talking about your mother, your grandmother, and your great-grandmother. This is just a suggestion. This may not resonate with you, and it may resonate with you.
Ooh, Sarah.
So a lot of times with ancestral lineages, these pieces, like, I'm going to suggest this. Think about it.
I'd love to hear it.
The issue, whatever it was that you were dealing with, that you were ready to work on, it was originally your great-grandmother's. She didn't know how to deal with it. She passed it to her mother. She didn't know how to deal with it. She passed it to your mother. She passed it to you because she didn't know how to deal with it. So generational stuff. And then you were ready to deal with it.
I was ready to deal with it.
It had to go back to your great-grandmother. She had to own it so that transformation could happen. Okay?
Yes, it was like she was ready to say, I know, I see it, and Noelle's ready to bring it up.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right. I felt that.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Where's Sarah?
Welcome.
I'm going to leave in about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but I just thought I'd pop in and say hello.
Don't pop in. You can't stay.
No, I would love to, but I've got my grandkids are over at the in-laws, and I got to go take food to the potluck.
Yeah.
So, but I had a few minutes. I was ready, so I thought I'd just pop in and say hello. And
it's good to see you.
You too. We got to get together on the phone this week.
Well, we do. I was going to say, will you email me or Facebook me?
Yep.
When you're good. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, I'm pretty open.
We'll have another call this week.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we'll have another call.
We'll talk, Sarah.
So there's one more piece I wanted to share with that.
Yes,
that
yes.
is very much the same thing. So in my own life, I had a problem with alcohol when I was younger. I think I've shared that with you folks. And
Does that mean you were an alcoholic?
Yes, I drank a lot of beer. I smoked a lot of pot, and I did it. I mean, I did it because I felt I needed to do it. But at the time, when I woke up and I realized that all I was doing was self-medicating myself because I couldn't deal with my emotional pain and trauma. And this is what happened for me when I woke up and I realized, I need to give up these crutches, these addictions, so that I can work on myself. So that was a big part of my transformation. I never liked hard liquor or wine. It was always beer for me. And I was in denial about it. But anyway, what I want to get to is because this piece around alcohol, which was an addiction that I got, belonged to my grandfather. And when I realized that this was not my issue, that I couldn't transform it because it didn't belong to me. And this is, was part of it. And it was about the anger, the things that happened as a child and my father, and I resented my father. There was some unexpressed anger. There were things that happened that I had to deal with. Yeah. And as I did that and I unwound it and I was able to forgive my father, knowing that he didn't do anything maliciously, he was just doing the best possible job he could do. And as I did that and I unwound it all and I came back to a place of love and acceptance, my father transformed right before my very eyes.
No.
These things unwound for him because, you see, he was holding these same issues with his father, my grandfather, who was an alcoholic. And he was from Ireland, he's Scottish in Ireland, and he drank whiskey like it was no tomorrow. And so he had all of this anger and resentment towards his father. And as I was able to do my work and unwind them and forgive my father, suddenly he saw it. He felt much closer to me, felt the love that I was offering. He saw, oh my God, I need to do this with my own father. Now, my grandfather was already dead and gone. And he says, well, how can I do that? So, Dad, it doesn't matter. If he's alive or not, it doesn't matter. So, see, we can affect the past by changing what is happening in the now. And so that was very profound. Now, that didn't happen with craniosacral, but it happened in this ancestral thing that we're talking about. So I just wanted to share that little piece. And
fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I think it's true in everybody's life. Ren, you're going, yeah, what, you know something about this.
I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, Sarah, you're only here for a few minutes.
What do you got, Sarah?
Well, once I get started talking, I can't quit.
I know.
I'm just going to shut up.
Your hair looks good. I have to say, your hair looks good.
Well, thanks. I'm letting it grow out. And it's at an odd stage.
It's a nice wave.
Looks okay. So I'm just going to, because I got tired of paying for a haircut and not being happy with it. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Remember those stories about the Indians that the military signed up because they could telepathically, get secrets from the enemy and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they signed them up, cut their hair off, put them in uniforms, and then they couldn't do it anymore.
No, exactly.
Interesting.
So,
yeah, it's true.
Your hair is like antennas.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't understand. They cut their hair as a means of
putting them in uniform.
Well, in the military, they cut your hair.
You got to shave your head practically.
Yeah, practically.
The scouts, the medicine men, all had long hair, and energetically, they're just like Sarah said, your hair is like an antenna, and they're sensing devices. They pick up energy out of information, and so that they were really good at being intelligent officers. Okay, they could look into they could diagnose what's coming. They could interpret the information, and they depended upon them. Once they cut their hair off, they lost the ability.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of sad.
Yeah.
And my son has very long hair and is in dreads, and he told me all what you just said.
Yeah, there's psychic abilities in your long hair.
My hair's long.
Well, that's good.
Little hair I have left.
That's good.
I used to have real long hair. I mean, it was real long. And I mean, 40 years ago. And I've never had it long since, but I'm thinking about growing it long again.
It's interesting because there's a definite movement, or like just I don't know, convention where as women get older, they cut their hair.
I
Because
know.
a woman with long hair is so unusual, and wow, I don't know what it means exactly, but I know
Yeah.
I'm letting my hair grow.
Yeah.
I think people, when they get older, cut it short because it's easier to take care of.
I agree.
And
And
it's conditioning.
yes, and
I
it's
mean, who invented a haircut?
Practicality,
well, and who invented shoes? Because they used to walk around barefooted, and they were in
Yeah.
touch with the earth.
Yes.
Then they invented shoes, so we couldn't be in touch with the earth.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you're in
But I
plastics.
don't know how far back that goes.
Yeah.
And it's even worse to have the plastic tennis shoe, the plastic there. That's really keeping you from, I have something that I bought a couple years ago, and I do it. It's called earthing.
Oh, yeah.
And I put a little stick on my foot, plug myself into the
Yeah.
to the wire, I'm the outlet, and then I get the energy from the earth when I can't go out barefoot.
Yeah.
Say
Yeah, they
that
have-
again. You put a stick on between your toes, or
It's a sticky, and it's called earthing. That's the name of the company. They send you these little stickies in a wire thing that you plug into your outlet, put the sticker on your foot, and you get energy. Do you know what? I did that about 2 weeks ago, and my heart started pumping so fast. I said, I think there's too much energy in I just couldn't do it that day because there was energy all around, I guess, and it was flowing so swiftly that I didn't think it was maybe good or healthy.
the Schumann resonance is what our heartbeat is connected to, and the Schumann resonance right now is so high that it would blow us away.
That's what I think it was. It was too much energy for me, and it was noticeable. So I wasn't scared. I just said, well, I better just unplug myself.
Yeah. That's a great device. They have them for mats. You can put your
Oh,
feet.
yeah. I'd love to get a mat.
They have sheets that you can lay on your bed too. Yeah.
But do your homework. Do your homework before you buy them.
What do you know, Ren?
There are some that are made with inferior pieces or whatever, so that you're not getting a true connection, or else it will break down quicker than a quality one.
That's interesting. Now, I bought mine from what I thought was the only company doing it.
Have you ever checked out the Intuition Physician?
No, but I will.
Mm-hmm. She's really big into earth and grounding. In fact, grounding is what saved my life a couple years ago.
Yay.
Would you tell us about it?
I'll try. I'm still trying to figure it out. I had relocated into the farmhouse, old 100-plus-year-old farmhouse that my son was renting, and it had a smart meter.
Oh.
And it attacked me.
Mm-hmm.
But there must have been in combination of other things going on. There was a lot of mold in that house. My intuition says that the house was painted in lead one time, possibly still, and that was possibly keeping the waves of the smart meter, the bad radio, I don't know the words for them. but it freaking attacked me through my computer.
Whoa.
My hand that would hold the mouse, it felt like I had bugs crawling up my arm, and I had things I had to do on the computer. I had to be on the internet. I had to write this. I had to do this. So I ignored it, and it got so bad that I started breaking out in welts. I started that it was just oh my God, it was horrible. I lost my appetite. I didn't know it, but food was repulsive. I couldn't eat, and it just went on and on and on, all kinds of things. And I felt like I was in some form of a mind control type of thing, possibly like, I don't know, like energy weapon type of thing. Because that's when the sounds out in the world, the sky sounds as I call them, got so intense that was just freaking driving me crazy. And I couldn't be in that house. And my only resolve, because I would go to the doctor and they'd look at it and they'd look at me all, oh my God, it was terrible. And they would have no idea what was going on. And I concluded that I had to figure this out on my own. They were looking at me like I was crazy.
Yeah.
They figured I'm self-diagnosing. When I would tell them it was dirty electricity attacking me. But my only resolve for that was to go out and lay on the ground. Mm-hmm. And I could feel Gaia cleaning. I could feel her taking things away and helping. And I could become centered and balanced again. And I don't know where else to go with that.
Well, that's a beautiful story. And how are you feeling now?
I am feeling much better now. I just got a new computer. I've been pretty much off the computer for almost 2 years. Any access I had to the computer was a very small unit that didn't put out much. I don't know what didn't put out much. So the Wi-Fi is an issue with me. Mm-hmm. I've noticed patterning down to things that rotate. The processor of the computer, the spinning of the washing machine, the fan on the fireplace. These are things that still cause me to react. But all I have to do is go outside to Gaia, and it makes me feel so much better. I can feel myself. I've gotten into some CBD oil, which is high quality, and I can feel myself detoxing again, which is terrible because it hurts, but it feels good.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm going to check out here. I've got to run, and I just wanted to say hello to everybody. You guys have a great. I'll listen to the recording and catch what I missed, and we'll talk soon.
We'll be in touch.
Sarah.
Yeah, guys. Love y'all.
Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, Ren, thank you for sharing all of that. That's a powerful story. I really resonate with the grounding and being on earth, barefoot, walking in the grass, on the beach especially. I love the salt water combination in the sand.
Totally. Oh, yeah.
It's really powerful.
I did that when I was in Mendocino, and then I bought a beautiful amethyst rock that's in the shape of a triangle. And the lady said to me, go down to the ocean and wash it. Mm-hmm. So I did, and I went down to the ocean. It's so funny because my husband, who's so sweet, I said, I bought this rock, hon, but now I've got to wash it in the ocean. And he's like, okay, he doesn't know what I'm doing, but all right, I'll take you down there. So I went down and I just washed it in the ocean, and so this rock, it means, I don't know why, it's like a friendly rock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like it's a good friend of mine, and I've missed it for a long time. And it's a nice way to hold it because it's a triangle, you know, which is a good geometric, you know, and that's how I spend a lot of, you know, when I get up in the morning and I ground, and I want to make sure that I'm grounded. I ground myself kind of like with a cord at the bottom of my spine, and I bring the cord down to the middle of the matrix in the middle of the earth. And then I just make sure that's tight. And then I give myself a lot of room so I can walk and be around. But I'm definitely, and I used to always unplug, send it to the universe, and then redo it. But now what I've been doing is just checking it. And as long as I know it's tight and it's checked and I've still got waddle room, I'm okay.
You mean the connection, the cord with the earth?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I love
So
that.
I don't have to pull it out and throw it away because I feel like I know that it's connected. And so now I just make sure I consciously feel the connection to the earth. And then I feel real good about it. And then I kind of stay in I have like a octahedron or something a tetrahedron that I just spend my time in. And then that's the force around me, which is out by my hands, and that's the force. And then when I come in contact with people, I don't feel this way with this group at all, but sometimes I put a rose up so that I've got my energy, like we talked, Aja, you know, my energy and their energy, and I get along really, really fine. But I was a big I know all about the smart meters because I've had someone come over, and we don't have one. We had it taken out, and I called the you know, place, and I said, you had no right to come on my property and replace this here. What was that about? That's kind of trespassing without even telling me what's going on.
What's a smart meter? I don't get it.
Outside your home, they now, instead of coming and reading your meter for your energy, they now just do it through, I don't know, through the lines. And what's happening is they're running all kinds of energy through your house and through your meter that's not even yours.
It's like having a wireless modem, like an internet wireless modem attached to the meter, and it sends to the company what you're using. They monitor you. It's awful.
I don't even think it's true because they send that's why when they first put these smart meters on, and I knew a lot of people that, well, not a lot, but several, that were having little fires in their house. And that's because they hadn't figured out, you know, they're sending quantum energy that's helping over here, and it's got nothing to do with your house. They're just sending it through your house. So we don't have Wi-Fi, and I don't want Wi-Fi. I don't care about the television programs I'm going to miss. Could care less. So, but yeah.
How are you talking to us then? How are you talking
to us? Find out where your smart meter is on your house.
So how are you talking to us if you don't have Wi-Fi? You have something else? What do you have? I don't have Wi-Fi. You mean you have a modem, right?
Well, yeah, Wi-Fi is the what is it? The wireless thing. We got, you know, cable.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I do too. I have a modem and everything.
Well, first of all, find out where your smart meter is. I have a friend who's knows someone who's getting extremely ill and having anxiety attacks come up big time.
No, I don't. I feel good, and I've got one of Smarty's pendant.
Yeah. Anyway, so I said the first thing I said to her was, tell him to check where his smart meter is. Yeah. People, a lot of times on apartment communities, they've got 8, 9, 10 of them all located in the same area. Can you imagine sleeping next to that?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, my bedroom was right above the smart meter, so yeah.
There you go. And you know, so these are things people are just going to have to wake up to, because I went around my neighborhood trying to tell people, but they weren't really too interested.
You know, I remember listening to Beezy one time, and her saying that when we really get into certain part of space, you know, rather soon, whatever, that, what is it, the event, or like, it won't matter how many vaccinations you had or how many this or that. It doesn't matter. It'll all just be gone.
Yeah, I think so too.
Does that mean like all this weird stuff. Like, we're not going to have to concern ourselves with it that much longer.
Well, how I see that, how I interpret that, and my belief at the moment anyway, is that you see, and this has a lot to do with biodynamic cranial sacral that I was talking about earlier, is that each and every one of us, you know, the blueprint for you and me and everybody is similar, but they're different. Our DNA is different, but the blueprint is within you, and that is your original blueprint. And everything that has happened since your original creation can be rebooted. So this is what's happening that BZ is talking about. It's not going to matter, because your birth health, your original blueprint, will be rebooted. And so all of these things that have happened, such as vaccinations or whatever, will no longer be valid. That's how I see it.
They just won't be in the frequency. They won't be in the frequency.
Yeah.
So they'll just leave our body. I mean, they'll even like when they say that some people, when the wave hits or whatever, they'll just die. Because, I mean, really dark entities, they'll die because they just can't take the frequency.
They can't hold the light. They can't hold the
The
light.
same thing with these, you know, our smart meters or whatever. It'll
I
just,
think you're right. I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, I see, don't you see how whoever's I always say the powers that were, are just so trying to get this all in place, because they'd like to get as much going on in the 3D as they can while they can. But I don't think it's too much longer.
but if we're not in 3D anymore, how are they doing it? Like you said, we're not even in 3D.
Well, these are desperate acts that they're
Yes.
taking in. They're desperate. It's all
There you
for
go.
no cause. But you know, I wanted to say,
Desperate.
your language about your cord, Noel, the ground into earth. My language, it's the same thing, but I call it the core column of light. And that core column of light is a column of light that runs right in front of your spine, interconnecting with the core of our Mother Earth and all the way into the creator source of heavens.
Yes.
And so, but that's connected with the torus field of the energy that flows around us and also flows around the earth. It's the same torus field of energy. And it's very powerful to see and imagine that in your field, because all of these electrical devices that we've been talking about interfere with that. They're not natural. And so this is why grounding is so important, and Ren's experience and your experience, and it's very important to know that. And just being conscious of the fact that when you put on a pair of shoes with rubber or plastic soles or whatever, you're not grounded. You know, just to know
They all
that.
have rubber, though. They all have rubber. That
Yeah.
must be intentional.
I do.
all.
Yeah, they do. I mean, I like to go barefoot, but I mean, I bought some
I go
moccasins.
barefoot all the time.
I bought moccasins years ago with just leather, you know, so that I can get some connection. And I wear those a lot, and it makes a big difference.
Well,
So,
you're talking about the torus too, and I was reading in a water article. When I drink water and I put water in a glass, I look down, and the first thing I do is I imagine the torus going around this way and around that way with a spiral in the middle, and it tastes different.
you,
Yeah.
you have a really great practice. That's great.
Try it. You'll see that you have absolutely changed your
First
water.
one way and then the other.
Yeah, the spin. The spin. So it's complete, and then the
You just imagine it, though.
I imagine it. I look at it. I imagine it. And I drink it. It's fantastic.
Well,
When
go ahead.
Huh?
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that the torus field, the spiral field, I see that is exactly how time is, as opposed to the lineal that we've been taught, that it's a straight line. This is the past, this is the future.
Right.
It's a
That
spiral.
doesn't exist.
It continually comes back. It's just like, how many times in your life have you had an experience? It was an opportunity to learn something and you missed it, he didn't get it, and then it passed, and lo and behold, some other point in your time, here comes back the same situation again, or something very similar. It's another opportunity to learn it. And so when you finally figure that out, okay, well, this is the spiral. You're on this spiral, and where you are now, you're going to come back to, and that's how I see time. It's not linear.
Oh yeah,
in any shape or form.
It's not. You're absolutely right. It's not linear. It's never been linear.
No.
That's why now time. It's just the way. It's like you think. Well, watches and time and all that is just really relatively new in the past 500-600 years, you might say. So, but when they say there's past and then there's we only have right now. We only have absolutely right now. The past. And we really don't have the future. It's all right here in this spiral.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, Taliesin, so do you think once we are in our Merkabahs and we've got our energy and we are in this, our spiral, we're connected up and down, that we can travel in time?
I do. I do.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think that is what is already happening with some people who have discovered that.
Well,
that might be for another conversation. I don't know.
it's a deep conversation, but I'll say this much. I see it very much connected with, in my personal experience, in dream time. And dream time is not necessarily a sleep time. Dream time is an alternative, whatever you want to say, consciousness or timeline or however you want to language it. And it's been so much fun playing with this for me. It's like I practice what I call, a form of lucid dreaming, where when I actually make the request when I'm awake before I go to physically asleep to my soul, asking my soul, please show me the information that I need to know that I'm not seeing. Please.
I love it.
And at dream time, and then I have these dreams, and I wake up and I have these memories of the dreams, and it's perfect. It's like finding the lost puzzle pieces in your dreams, and it all adds up. But I've been playing with it more and more and more for a number of years. And in the last 3 months or so, it's really gotten fun because I'm recognizing I'll have a memory and I'm like, oh, that was my dream. And I can really pinpoint it exactly where the information came from. And it's, experiences with people where I've been wanting to have an experience or a conversation with somebody, and it doesn't seem to happen. And then it happens in dream time. And it's like, oh, that happened there. Yeah, there it is. I can pinpoint it. So
awesome.
I really feel that our container, if you want to use that terminology, don't make it, like a firm container. Make it so it's malleable and it's porous so that you can expand and contract at the pace that you're ready to. And there's limitless possibilities.
So well said. That is so well said, Taliesin. I wanted to ask everybody, when you do dream, my dreams recently have been about anybody I knew from 18 years below. I don't seem to dream about people today that I'm interacting with. My dreams seem to come up with people that I knew as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's where my work is,
mm-hmm.
in the dream. Now, I have other dreams, like last night I had 3 specific dreams, but I mean, mostly it's with people I knew as a kid or high school student.
No, yes, definitely.
I don't know why.
Yeah. Well,
as if they were real important, I haven't seen so many of them in a long time, but that was my world.
Well, I would explain it like this. I've had similar experiences. Everybody that comes into our life is a student and a teacher at the same time, and so are we. And there's something that we have in a contract to learn from them. They're either going to teach us something or we're going to teach them something, or vice versa, or the same thing's going to happen to both sequence. And it may not happen at that initial meeting. It may come back. In other words, as the time spiral comes again, they'll come back in your life, and it's like, oh, here's the opportunity again. And so I think that happens a lot. And I'll give you an example of it right now that just happened for me in the past since my dad passed away on the 18th. So 2 high school buddies that I had in high school that I haven't seen in a number of years. I saw them in my mom's funeral when 26 years ago was the last time I'd seen these 2 fellows. And we were so close and just loved each other as children growing up together, had multiple experiences. And they both saw my dad's passing, the notice in the paper back in Michigan, and went to the funeral thinking I was going to be there.
Oh.
I didn't go to his funeral because I told my dad, I've been seeing him every year for the last 3 years, and he's in Wisconsin, and I don't fly anymore. I've given up flying.
That's good.
Will not fly in an airplane in its current form. I just won't do it.
Yeah.
All the times I've gone back to see him, I drove, and I love road trips. I make a journey out of it. Anyway, so these 2 fellows showed up at my dad's funeral looking for me, and they ran into my brother and sister and my family, and they didn't have contact information for me, so they got my contact information, and then within a couple days of each other, boom, they reached out to me, and so we've reconnected. And what's really, it's so heartwarming. I can't tell you how.
Yeah.
Both of them are reaching out for help. Both of them have situations, healing, physical situations, and they didn't know what I'm into now, because I used to be in the building trades, years ago, up until my not quite 50 is when I gave it up, and it went full time into healing modalities. But it just warmed my heart to, like, oh my God, they didn't even know, but energetically they were reaching out to me. They both said it's almost identical words. We knew we needed to contact you, and we don't really know what the deal is. And
that's wild.
Yeah, so clear to me. It's like, all right, here we go. So
that's
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
your father reached out to you too. It's like a gift from your dad. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's been really, really magical. My dad and that whole situation that I shared, it was just so amazing. When I unwound, he unwound, and then he realized he could unwind with his father. Wow.
That was huge.
Well, and then it had an effect upon my sister, because she saw my father change, and she came to me and said, "What are you doing?" And then she went through changes, and so it's just the way it is, It's so magical.
It is. It really is. There is magic, and there is, a lot of it is undoing what we've been told. It's you call it an unwinding journey, but that is really what it is in so many ways, because we've just been, lobotomized, and now we're all waking up.
I'm finding it hard to, just people in my family and stuff. The energy is so what is that word? Because you always use the
Shearing?
No, shearing. Yes, it just feels like I can't do that anymore. I can't pretend anymore. I was talking to my youngest daughter today, and I finally I always say things kind of very often very just maternally protecting her, or coaching things, or being the adult or something. And I was still the adult. But I just pointed out some things that I just felt like that's how it is, and that hurts my feelings, and I feel angry about it. And I mean, it's been going on for years, this perception. And finally, I just put it out there, and that's my perception. I'm responsible for it. I will need to do some healing work, not her. But I just put it out there, and I just feel like I can't take it anymore. I just can't do it anymore.
No.
I don't know.
That's exactly what I think it was. Noelle made a post on Facebook about this very thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so identify with it just 100%. I mean, yeah, I'm at a place too where I think we all are.
I think the truth is out there, and the truth is going to resonate. And if it's not that, then you just aren't going to deal with it. You need to walk away. No one has to get mad, I guess, unless you've got children. You got to deal with them. But you just kind of walk away.
It was a personal thing. It wasn't about politics or something.
Yeah.
It was like my field has gotten too clear and lucid for me that I can't keep like hearing this and like no response, or just, playing in the dynamic of how it's been set up to play. Like, I can't do it anymore.
Well, that sounds beautiful. Like you've had a real nice spiritual breakthrough on that.
Yes.
Well, from an energetic standpoint, studying medical Qigong, and there is a process, and maybe you've heard of this, maybe you haven't, but I think this is what's going on in these situations, especially with family members. It doesn't have to be family members, but it's very common in family members. And that is especially between mother and children, parents and their children, siblings, your close friends, intimate romantic partners that you've had in life, where an energetic cord, these people cord you. And this is part of the codependent relationship viewpoint, where when they have the belief that they don't have the connection or the abilities to bring in their own gifts and their own energy, and they cord people that they love, so-called, they think they know what love is, and they're drawing energy off of you. And this is what feels uncomfortable, but it's an energy. It's not something you can actually feel it when you're trained, when you're into Qigong energy. You can feel this energy, and you can remove these cords. And the belief is that, you actually agree to allow them to take off energy because you love them and you want to nourish them, you want to help them, but it's draining your life force energy. And it becomes a point in life where you realize, oh my God, this has to stop. It no longer resonates with you. It doesn't feel good. And I'm just interjecting that this might be what some of us are feeling. It's time to cut the cord. Not that you have to sever the relationship, but you have to cut the cord so that you can shift it from a codependent relationship to a co-creative relationship, so that they can reconnect with the source of all that is and nourish themselves. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody, but
yeah, that does. Now, don't you do cord cutting work, Thomason?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's part of Qigong.
And is that something that you see in a client, and you see where the cords are?
Well, it actually happens not only in Qigong, but it also happens in the biofield immersion therapy that I do. It's in the field. It's how it happens is these cords have a density to them. They usually connect around the core, the abdomen, your lower dantian, where your sexual energy is in Ayurvedic belief. Your second chakra is where it usually connects in. And they're drawing this energy off, and you can feel it as a therapist when you're trained. It generally feels heavy, dark. It usually has a cold feeling, physical cold energy to it. And yes, once you're ready to let go of it, depending upon what the relationship is, it can be yanked out. Now, the person that is connected on the other end will feel it, and they may go through like, what's going on? They may not understand it.
That's fabulous.
But it happens a lot, and if you aren't really ready to let it go, it can get reattached because subconsciously you'll allow it, especially when it's mother, father, child.
Mm-hmm.
This happens a lot.
It's something we need to consciously focus on in this part of our bodies and just feel it, see it, breathe into it, and then consciously cut it in whatever visualization we
Exactly.
and cut it, and then it goes. I can feel it. It would almost go like a rubber band. It might go like a missile.
Exactly.
Woo! With so much power to the other person. Maybe they're gonna blow up. I don't know. It's like
Well,
the event.
it works in different ways. So I'll tell you this experience. So this was one of my first experiences with this situation. So when I was training with the master Qigong in class, and towards the end of our time together, it was a 1,000-hour class, we would have clients that would come into the clinic, and he would treat them and we would assist, okay? So in this particular case, this woman came in. I don't know, she was probably in her late 30s, 40s possibly. Anyway, she had developed fibroid tumors, and they were big, and she was scheduled to have a total hysterectomy. And she was wanting to know, is there anything she could do, because she didn't want to have a hysterectomy. Was there anything she could do energetically to make them shrink and go away? Now, I wasn't treating her, but I was the assistant, okay, in that case. And the Western doctors were, telling her that if she didn't remove that, the tumors and the uterus, that there were possibility that they could become cancerous. So she was scared. She was frightened, rightly so. And so anyway, she consulted with Matthew, his name, and I was the witness of this. And he said, let me diagnose you and treat you. And he said, if you're ready, I can help you, but it's only if you're ready. So she was on the table, and you go through a whole technique, a protocol, energetic setup. And then when he was actually physically feeling where the fibroids were, and as he actually made contact with them, not only physically but energetically, he asked her these questions. He said, can you tell me what was happening in your life when these fibroid tumors began, when they formed? And she said, no, I don't remember. There's nothing. And then he kind of moved a little bit, and he did a few things, and then he said, no, really, think about it. Feel into the tumor. Something happened when these tumors formed. And I was just observing very close by, and I saw this whole emotional shift in her body start to occur. And she started to cry. She was having emotional release. And he said, okay, are you ready to talk about it now? Can you tell me what occurred? She goes, I remember very clearly now. My daughter was raped. And I felt completely responsible because I allowed her to go with this person on this date that I didn't want her to go with, but she begged me. I tried to stop it, and unfortunately, she experienced this. And I felt completely and totally, utterly responsible for what happened to my daughter. And the tumors started to form right after that.
Wow.
So Matthew took it from there, and he said, okay. He says, do you realize that it was not your responsibility? It is not your responsibility. And as long as you believe that it was your responsibility, you're holding that energy, and they're coming up in the forms of these tumors. are you ready to let go of that belief? And it took about an hour. And once she finally was ready to let go, energetically, there was a big emotional release on her side. And Matthew was doing pulsing, which is an energetic, where he's sending energy into the vibrational. In other words, he was breaking up the tumors with these vibrations energetically.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, the whole process was probably about an hour. And she left. We consulted with her, asked her to come back for the next week to the clinic again the following week. And she came back, and the tumors had shrunk quite a bit. They were still there. He did another energetic treatment on her, and she had some more release. The third week, she was scheduled to have this surgery. She went to the Western doctor. The tumors had shrunk, and there was no longer a need for surgery.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, so this is a true, absolute story. This is what happens when we don't deal with our emotional, traumatic situations in our life. You see, we store them in our body. They manifest in our body as something physical if we don't release them.
Mm-hmm.
This is what illness is.
Mm-hmm.
Disease. So I've only shared that with a couple people. A lot of people don't believe in it, and if they don't believe in it, that's okay. You know, it's where they're at.
Right.
But you know, I've had, yeah.
Taliesin, are you familiar with this big book? I don't know the name of it, but you might. That I think it costs $100, but each little disease is caused by an emotion, and they have the emotion and kind of like the energetic behind the disease.
I've got four,
I had a friend who had that once.
I've got 4 manuals that stack about that tall, and it is all of this information. I
Boy.
got it when I took this class. So yeah, yes, I mean every yin and yang organ in our body is connected to an emotion, is connected to a season, the weather, this year-long cycle. It's actually
Chinese medicine.
Yes.
I love Chinese medicine.
Yeah, I do too.
I do.
Fantastic. What a conversation today, you guys.
Yeah, well, there's so much to share. Everybody's got a different life story and situations, and hey, every one of us has got stuff still that's coming up, and this is the time. This is the time to let it bubble up.
Yeah, and it seems like there's so many layers with this healing too. I mean, even though you release, you may still have something that you know has some sort of physical, emotional source, at least part of it. But there's just a lot of layers.
Yes.
And I think it's interesting. People will say, I just feel great. I just feel wonderful. I'm wondering if they're just not numb.
Yeah, what is it with those people? And then what is it like Law of Attraction, Abraham Hicks? I think I love Abraham Hicks.
I do too.
But I think some of it, isn't it kind of like, don't really dwell on it. Don't really go there. Just focus on how you want to feel. But I mean, I've chosen, I also have listened to them a lot, especially in the early years when I was healing after my divorce. But I found that I needed to dive deep. I needed to, and I'm not saying they're superficial in any way, but it's just it reminded me of that when you said, oh, I'm fine. I mean, I know.
I know. I mean,
I'm not understanding them, but I have listened to them a lot.
Yeah. Well, there are people, many people I know, friends are going just wonderful. And I think, I'm the one doing all this, like inner diving underneath the water, and they're just on their yacht on the
right. Like
you're just having a great time.
You've got sleeping problems, and I mean, I've got like what? Yeah, what is going on? I don't know. It seems pretty nice. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. That's it. And I was was talking about the craniosacral work, and someone who had gone before said, "Oh, I just feel fine now." And I said, "Well, maybe it's just that you're numb, where you're, you know." And they were like that. But that's what it is to me.
Did you tell them?
Yeah, I said maybe you're just numb.
Well, you
They
know,
must have had an emotional response to that at least.
Oh, they just sat there.
They were numb. They didn't have any.
They were numb.
well, you know, I like to use this term, you know, I think everybody has got healing to do. And I don't personally, my own experiences, I don't think I'll be done until I take my last breath. I think it's a continual
Me too.
process.
I got a lot of work to do.
And people that are I think they're living in denial personally.
Yeah.
I really do.
Defense mechanism.
And for me, the only way I've been able to, and with clients and working with other people and my own experience, is only one way through it. And that's through the alchemy of the fire. You have to go through the pain. You have to let the feelings come up. You've got to get in touch with it. You have to talk to it. You have to ask what it wants. Why is I having this experience? You need to have a conversation with the trauma, the stuck energy, find out what it is that, why are you doing this? There is a lesson attached to every piece. And when you learn the lesson and you acknowledge it and you embrace it as yours as opposed to pushing it away and denying it, this is when the alchemy of the heart happens. This is when the fire transforms it. And it's only through the pain. Pain is temporary. Quitting is forever.
Yeah, and it's that pain as children. And then you think we've had all these past lives, but it's that original pain as a young child that no one wanted to touch. No one, just go.
Right.
And cry. I mean, if not literally, metaphorically, just like.
Yes.
And so if we do the same thing, that didn't seem to work very well, right?
No, it's really important. I mean, I practice this, try to teach people that it's really the best thing to do. When you have an experience, the best way is to process it right then and there, if you can. It really is.
I talk to my inner child, and I know when she's hurting, and your inner child will tell you what's going on. And if you sit her down and or him or whatever and say, you know, what is it? And it'll tell you.
Yeah,
Tell you.
exactly.
I have to go, you guys.
Yeah, it's 2 o'clock. We've been going for 2 hours. Thank you all for coming, Ren. It was a pleasure to have you.
Nice meeting
You're
you.
magic. This is my
You can join us
for a
again.
couple of days. Are we going to see each other again?
I sure hope so. Yeah.
No, you said this week.
Yeah, I think Wednesday is going to work out this week. I'm not sure what time yet, but I'll put it out as soon as I know.
I have a cranial thing Wednesday at 11:30. So if you're thinking, could we do it later in the day?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I think that'll work for me too, because I've got some things coming, things to do this week that the days are going to be kind of busy. So around 3 or 4 would be late enough.
Later in the day would be great.
And Ren, I'm really happy you came.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, Ren.
Yes, very happy that
Thank
you came, Ren. Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye. Love to
Bye.
everybody.
Love everybody. Thank you so much.
Happy Estada. Estada. That is Estada.